If you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will run your life and you will call it fate. That is a quote that a very popular psychotherapist said in the 1920s. His name was Carl Jung. So, I'm going to break this down for you guys so that you can actually apply it and use it. I had an experience a couple of months ago. I was getting driver's lessons so I can go and get my license. And my driving teacher, he was just, a guy teaching me how to drive. And I was like at the time where I was thinking about college. And so I asked him, what do you think about college? I wanted to know what he would say. And he's like, oh, it's an absolute waste of time. I went for 2 years just because I got like a free, like a big discount, and that's it. Like, it's a waste of time. And then he started like pouring out his entire life story to me. He's like, I could have kids, but too much work. And he said, like, I've had women, I've worn that t-shirt before, I don't need that in my life. The guy lives with his mom, he's in his maybe mid to late 40s, I would say. He told me I would travel, but I mean, I did it one time when I was 7 years old with my father, and I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, obviously he's delusional. I don't know, I don't know how else to put it. Not in like an evil or in a bad way. He has a very limited view on life, and he takes it for what it is. He had a certain experience. He didn't question it. He just takes it at face value, and he lives according to his perspective for the rest of his life. Towards the end of the lesson, he started telling me how he believes in that the world has absolutely no meaning, that there is no point of anything, but he tries to just find the positive reason for doing things, just so he doesn't feel bad about things, right? So it's interesting, even though he knows that the world, like, life is meaningless, which it's not, even though he thinks that, he still tries to find ways to make himself enjoy life to an extent, which I don't know how he does it. If you get rid of progress in your life, if you get rid of relationships, if you get rid of growth, I don't know how he finds meaning in his life. But he also said he doesn't even want to start a business because it would be a lot of work. And also he's like mastered the skill of teaching people how to drive, so it would be too uncomfortable to grow out of that. And honestly, like, really disturbed me. I didn't tell him that, because like I just met the guy 30 minutes ago, but I wasn't gonna start like criticizing how he lives his life. I don't really know him that well, but I know from this perspective of like limiting yourself so much, where you say that this is pointless, there's no way of getting this done. For example, losing weight is impossible. Like, that limits you a lot, and then you basically give yourself no choice but to be miserable. And lots of people these days, they do this. Maybe not to the extent that this guy did it, but they do this with their health, with their relationships, with their financial standing, or even with like how much joy they can just have in life. They say it's impossible to be happy, or they say that exercising takes too long, or they say that their girlfriend, their wife is like impossible. You can't make a woman happy or something. I don't know. Things like that. So people like limit themselves in the amount of fulfillment, the amount of fullness they can experience in their life. And it usually comes down to fear or ignorance. It has to be either one of the two. So this guy, I mean, I don't know his full situation, but from what I did see, it has to be a mix of both. He obviously is not aware that, like, the amount of joy you can have from a relationship with a woman, or how fulfilling it is when you set a goal and achieve it, or how fun traveling is and seeing like different places. And then I asked him, I wanted to get a better understanding of like, what is this guy talking about? So I asked him, what do you think of Tony Robbins? And he's like, oh, that guy's amazing. He's great. And I'm like, okay. In the back of my head, I'm like, he just said that having kids is too much work, that making money is too much work, that having a wife is too much work, and that he also said that like happy people aren't actually happy, they're just faking it. And then I bring up Tony Robbins, he's like, oh, he's amazing. Doesn't make sense. That's a sign of ignorance, flat out. And he's probably also afraid to push past his current edge. And when that happens, when that flow of energy to grow and improve is kinked, or when it's stopped, that's when you start to have problems. Okay, so back to the quote, if we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will run our life and we will call it fate. This guy, he was unconscious and he just didn't understand the truth. He chose what was easiest, which was most accessible to him, the beliefs that were most accessible to him, and he didn't have the belief that there is a better life out there. Or he just didn't make the connection. I'll give you another example where this could happen. Let's say, I mean, this doesn't really happen, but it has happened before. It's an example of how when we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will cause us a degree of suffering. Let's say there's a baby that is barely starting to walk, and he climbs up on a couch and he falls off. Like, he just stands on it and he just falls over on the floor. And in his mind, he makes a connection that couches are bad and dangerous. And now he grows up and he's afraid of couches. But the truth is, couches are not dangerous. What actually happened was he fell off a couch. Jumping around and doing things on a couch could be dangerous, but his brain did not make the connection because he didn't have that perspective. He was a baby. And when I say baby, you can replace that with immature, or he had a lack of perspective. And adults do the same thing. They have a limited perspective on a situation, and they make a claim, they make a decision, because they rather have a degree of certainty than be like, I don't know. Others believe that they can't lose weight because of genetics, because they look at their family and their family's obese. But obviously it's proven not to be true. If they actually went and looked on the internet, which is like such a powerful thing, you can find an example of anything. You want to find somebody that was broke and became rich, you can find it. You want to find an example of somebody that was 500 pounds and became super shredded, you can find it. You want to find an example of somebody that grew up in a family that was divorced and then they grew up and had like an amazing life with their wife or husband, you can find it. It's all about being open-minded and having like a North Star, I guess you could say. Knowing that if you're committed to the truth and you never settle for anything less than that, you will find the best way to live. Because it exists. People have done it. You just open your eyes and look for it. So now ask yourself, where have you done this in life? Have you done it in your fitness, your relationships, your mission, your purpose, or your health, whatever it may be? Where have you done this? And then to make the part of you that's limiting your growth, to make it more aware, to become more aware of what's limiting you, ask yourself, what do I believe about this specific subject? For example, let's use losing weight. What do I believe about losing weight that would limit me from achieving the goal? Do I believe that I can't do it because of genetics? Do I believe that it takes too much time? So write down your limiting beliefs, whether it be for weight loss or anything like that, and then literally just flip it. Flip the belief. If it's like, I can't lose weight because of genetics, flip it. How can I lose weight even with bad genetics? Look it up. Look it up on the internet. You'll find an answer. And don't just settle for the first thing you find. Find someone that's credible, that knows what they're talking about, has the actual results, not a piece of paper that says they went to school, but actual proof that they did it. For example, they're fit. and maybe they're a lot older than the average athlete. Maybe they're like 50 years old and they have like a six-pack, as an example. And you can do that with any part of your life. And slowly, as you do this, the more and more that you change your beliefs and make them more aligned with the truth, the less you will suffer, and the more you can literally change reality to make it suit your growth, your development, make the unconscious conscious. And another habit you can add on top of that, just to build a better awareness of who you are and the emotions that you have and the thoughts that you have, start journaling 5 to 10 minutes a day. It would be better if you did in the morning and in the afternoon, in the evening, but just doing it 5 to 10 minutes a day, whether it be just in the morning or just in the evening, is great. What I like to do, first I write down my mental state, I write down something I'm grateful for, I write down what things are weighing me down. And yeah, it helps you build an awareness of what's going on in your mind, and it helps like untangle all of the stuff going on in there. So those two things. Start journaling every day, 5 to 10 minutes a day. Number 2, change your beliefs. Find proof of how your limiting beliefs are wrong. Alright, see you in the next video.